Hi, I'm Ali Patterson, and welcome to another episode of the Paytech Show. Coming up, we take a look at the opportunities brought about by PSD2. We also explore the Fido Alliance and the new Erste Bank app, George. But first, Doug McKenzie sits down with G&D and Fido to discuss how digital advancements have helped to improve customer experience, especially around security.
Well, I think that one of the main drivers really here is that actually the domination of the mobile devices. I mean, that has absolutely changed the way we all kind of do everyday transactions or services, whatever we want to do, it's through the mobile channel. And that, during the last 10 years, I mean, that's dramatically changed the banking world too. It has enabled a lot, but it has also created challenges for the banks because you can just imagine that 10 years back, most of the banks were offering their services through maybe ATMs, but mostly through the branch. Yes, online too, but now everything is basically online, and that online channel is the mobile.
What do customers want from their digital payment tools?
They want that piece to be basically going away. They don't want to bother themselves paying. They just want to concentrate on actually what are they looking for, whether it's a service online, whether it's something physical, and get that transaction done really easily. But at the same time, they probably want to control or have at least a feeling or perception that they are controlling this process. They are controlling their monetary assets, the payment transaction, by giving them something which enables them to have that perception. This could be that you need to, like now, you give your biometrics, your fingerprint recognition, so that then people understand that, okay, it's now me who is accepting this and authorizing the payment, and it's something which is really part of my identity or physical element that I provide.
Historically, security has been provided through kind of high friction type activities, either providing very complex passwords or requiring people to use an external hardware that's not very intuitive to use, like a OTP generator or something like that. Currently, financial institutions have an opportunity and imperative to provide users with a more seamless user experience to authenticate to online services. Namely, the imperative is being driven by regulation, and the opportunity is being driven by modern devices that are literally in the fingertips of users every day that can be used to securely authenticate them to online services.
Can you tell me a bit more about how the developments in biometric technology are not only increasing the security of customers, but also the customer experience?
Yeah, biometrics has come a long way in a very quick amount of time. It wasn't that long ago where consumer biometrics were a thing for very niche type applications, government type applications. The cost of devices supporting biometrics, mobile devices, has come down dramatically. It's very hard, if not impossible these days, to find a smartphone that doesn't have a fingerprint reader or a camera to do customer biometric intake. So the nice thing about biometrics is that it literally, again, is in the hands of and faces of consumers every single day. So what this means for consumers is that more secure authentication, which has always been a high friction activity, is now possible through the same mechanisms they use to unlock their phone every day. So it's, simply put, the same action that every consumer uses to unlock their phone can now be taken to log into an account. And that's what Fido is enabling through our standards.
Can you tell me a bit more about where you think biometric technology is going to take the payments revolution in the future as well?
I think that, well, we have the biometric technology already, and this is maybe thanks to the device vendors like Apple's and let's say Google's, who provide, of course, more the platform like Android, but also device vendors, Samsung's and all others, who have basically now enabled the biometric technology so that you have devices where you can actually present and use the biometrics, whether it's a fingerprint sensor on your phone or it's maybe software recognizing your face, and there are many others, voice and so forth. But that's probably again a one step which we have already established quite well, and the banks are also adopting that one because most of the banking apps, payment apps, wallets, they use for example, the biometric features for the authentication of the user. But the next step is probably that it will be again a kind of invisible almost for the consumer. It could be a face recognition. So you just walk to the shop, they recognize you are there, they know it's Jukka. You go, you buy something, those are automatically scanned. Well, you have already these Amazon shops, for example, and then you walk out. And they just know it was Jukka, he took these goods, and he walked out, so we actually make the transaction in the background. So that's probably the biometrics for the future.
Next up, we head to Vienna to talk with Erste Bank about the potential opportunities PSD2 has created and how they think the regulation is going to shape the financial industry in the future.
PSD2 is obviously offering us a lot of new and exciting opportunities, and we were one of the first in Europe to publish our own APIs already beginning of last year. And now we're developing the first services for our customers. So for example, we are out with multi-banking, so account aggregation here in Austria. That's something that's quite new here. We'll soon launch it in Czech Republic, where we also see a good uptake on all the open banking topic. On the other hand, we also tested and researched and prototyped and A/B tested a lot with our customers around open banking in the last year and learned a lot. And for a huge chunk of our customers, that topic of data privacy and transparency, do I really understand what's happening to my data, is incredibly important in our markets. So we do a lot to provide our customers that transparency, that they really see what is happening. For example, in Czech Republic, whenever a customer asks us to share his personal data with an external party, we offer him a sort of account statement, data statement, where they can exactly see what's happening to their data and can also decide if they still want to use this or not. So giving the power of decision on that data back to our customers is something that we find very, very important. We also promise our customers that we will never sell or actually share their data without their very explicit consent, also in aggregated form, because we want to give our customers that good feeling that with us their data is really safe. So we find the right balance between those two.
Where do you see PSD2 shaping the financial services industry in the future?
In my perception, the future of PSD2 depends actually very much on how that legislation is going to develop. So is PSD2 in the future going to open up other types of products, not just payments and current accounts? Is it probably going to open up to other industries as well? Why just banking, by the way? I would benefit a lot if I could just share my energy data with someone else that easily as PSD2 allows it. If that happens, and I fully expect that to happen, I think what we will see is a differentiation between using a front end of someone and using a product of someone in the end. And that will give customers the choice to find the best front end that works for them and offers the services that they would like to use, and then find the best product separately from this and just use it via that front end, right? I'm fully looking forward to that, because with George we have a front end that at least today gets very positive feedbacks from our customers, and we believe that will stay in the future. And I also believe that, at least for more complex situations, our customers will probably not want to do everything solely digital, but have the opportunity to talk to someone also in the future, and that we will be able to offer as well.
Has PSD2 really enabled a complete customization of how wallets or banking apps are going to work in the future?
PSD2 is one, let's say, important element there, especially of course in Europe. Just at the same time, there are many other regions, geographics, who are following the similar kind of regulation. For the payment, basically, it is enabling for a bank to do new businesses. It is also seen sometimes as a threat, especially a couple of years back when this was introduced, because basically what it means is a couple of things. So PSD2 means that you need to, as a bank, basically open up your data for third parties, so that the third party, with the consent of the consumer, can access, for example, that what is my bank account information. So it is considered as a threat. But at the same time, this enables banks to offer this as a service. And for example, what guys like Erste and others are doing, they basically can enable this service in their own applications and services, but they can also then provide this to the third parties. So they basically can be on both sides. They can be provider of the data, but also the user of the data. So it's not necessarily only for the third parties. The second thing with the PSD2 is says that you need to have a very strong authentication whenever this banking data is used. And of course that, for example, in the payment and the wallet environment means that you need to really strongly authenticate that the consumer is the one that they claim to be. And again, then you need to have capabilities enabled, for example, like Fido, which gives this kind of a good means to protect the identity and authentication. And then at the same time, you can use technologies like biometrics.
With that in mind, we take a look at the Fido Alliance and Erste Bank app George to explore what it is that they do and why G&D has chosen to work alongside both companies.
So can you tell me a bit more about the Fido Alliance?
Yeah, so Fido is focused on three things. First and foremost, we create technical standards for secure user authentication. Secondly, we certify products against those standards, showing that products that are Fido certified, A, conform to the standards, and B, interoperate with each other. And then third, we do market education, helping companies understand how they can deploy Fido authentication to meet regulatory requirements and better satisfy their customers.
Can you really tell me, what does the Fido Alliance really offer the financial services companies or even the financial institutions?
Yeah, so Fido has a strong value proposition for the ecosystem at large. Right? So Fido is comprised, I would say, three types of companies. First of all, we have device manufacturers, people who are creating PCs and handsets and security tokens that are used to secure and securely authenticate users every day. Secondly, we have software and silicon and technology providers that create the products that are powering the modern authentication ecosystem. And then last but not least, and perhaps most important, Fido is comprised of companies whose very livelihoods depend on the ability to deliver high-value, high-assurance services to customers in a very secure way. And so those companies, the payments networks, the banks, the large service providers are the ones bringing the requirements for customer authentication into Fido Alliance, and then the rest of the Alliance really helps build those into standards that we then certify and people build products against that are now being deployed to authenticate users in a variety of scenarios.
So how does the Fido Alliance actually help a company like G&D really improve the customer experience and the security of their customers?
The value proposition of Fido Alliance and Fido standards to a company like G&D, simply put, is that this is an industry standard being scoped by their customers. All right, so a lot of the inputs for the Fido standards have come from financial services institutions, from payments networks, from merchants who have very specific ideas of how they want to deploy user authentication. So for a company like G&D, they could simply build to these standards and put it into their product. Furthermore, a lot of these institutions who are deploying modern authentication have specified Fido certified in their RFPs. So by writing to the Fido standards and getting Fido certified, G&D has a leg up on competition who does not do that. Furthermore, by taking part inside a Fido Alliance, G&D can network with other peers in the industry. So there's a lot of co-opetition, if you will, inside of Fido, where companies who have similar objectives actually collaborate on different ideas and sharpen their own products while collectively lifting the industry and creating a better opportunity for everybody, but also, most importantly, creating a safer place for consumers to authenticate and really helping protect the connected economy.
What does being part of the Fido Alliance really enable or mean for G&D?
Right, it's very important for us, and not just for us, but the industries and any industries, because this is the first time that there is a global standardization for security and particularly for identification or the authentication. So how different parties, whether they are physical people like us, but also maybe machine to machine even, to authenticate themselves to each other securely, so that you know that I'm really Jukka and vice versa. So that's one of the fundamentals why we joined actually the Fido originally and why we follow that. The other one is of course that then there are specifications so that you can have the interoperability. So any component, if we provide a client version, somebody provides a server component, they have an interoperability between selves. So those are of course again very important when you as a global company, or are we as a global company, operate, because that gives the scalability. Then you're kind of everybody who is compliant with Fido is potentially of course customers to us, and also the partners, so that we can actually have our components connected with the other parties' components.
Can you tell me about your very innovative app, George?
George is the digital offering for our customers for this purpose, bringing our customers to a better financial life. So it's actually the digital companion to help our customers to more prosperity. George is already live in 4 different countries and has today more than 4 million customers. And best thing, last year for most of the months in those 4 countries, we were always rated as best app, which we are quite proud of. So George is perceived very, very well by our customers, and we even see quite a high number of customers in countries like Romania, for example, that have never used online banking before in their life, now switching to George just because it's so much easier and more convenient to use than what they saw probably earlier. And currently we're already working on introducing George to even more of our customers. In Hungary and in Croatia, we are in the middle of starting the rollout.
How have we seen the George app really galvanize the payment space in Central Europe, and even as we're seeing in Eastern Europe?
I think that they have really done a nice app, and as an Erste is a group of banks operating in multiple countries, so they can basically have the same platform and utilize that in a different geographies. And that enables probably the best class service, because you get also the feedback from different countries which might have a different preferences, and they can all the time of course enhance the experience that they provide to the customers. So from this perspective I think it is they have a certain edge compared maybe with the other banks who might have a fragmented infrastructure, that each of the issuer in a different country might have their own apps. So I think that this is something that definitely Erste and George go and let's say improve the experience.
That's it from us. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join us for the next episode of the Paytech Show.